Hello class, my name is Julia Sevis and I will be explaining my brain model. I'll start off by explaining the cerebral cortex. The cerebral cortex is responsible for consciousness, thought, emotion, reasoning, language, and memory. It is the top layer of the brain where we find the bumps and the texture of it. The bumps are known as gyri and the grooves are known as sulci. The most important sulcus is the one that is used to separate both parts of the brain. It's the one painted in white. And this is called the longitudinal fissure. Like I said, it separates both halves. These halves are also known as hemispheres. The left hemisphere is responsible for memory, selective, attention, and positive emotions, while the right side, or the right hemisphere, is responsible for negative emotions as well as arousal and pitch perception. There's little fibers that connect these two together, and it's called the corpus callosum. There are 4 lobes in the brain. The first lobe is the frontal lobe, and that is seen in orange. Inside of the frontal lobe, or the responsibility of the frontal lobe, is reasoning, motor control, emotion, and language. Inside of here, you will find the motor cortex, which is used to help with planning and coordinating movement. You will also find the prefrontal cortex, which is here in green, and that helps with higher level cognitive function. Lastly, you will find Broca's area, which is essential for our language production. The next lobe is the parietal lobe, and that is seen in blue. Inside of here, you will find the somosensory cortex. The somosensory cortex is used to process information onto the body's senses. Inside of here, there are different sections that correlate with different parts of our body. It's here in red. The third lobe is the temporal lobe, and that is seen in green. It is located on the side of our brain, on each side. And here, it is responsible for hearing, memory, emotion, and some language. Here you will find the auditory cortex, which is the main area responsible for processing auditory information. So everything that we hear, it processes it right here in the green, the dark green in the middle. And you'll also find the Wernicke's area, which is right here, and that is in pink. And this is for used for speech comprehension. If there is damage done for the auditory cortex, a person finds it difficult to create language or to communicate. Well, if there's damage in the Wernicke's area, or Wernicke's area, that they find it difficult to process language, but there is still some communication there. The last lobe is the Occipital Lobe, and it's here in yellow. It's located in the back of our brain, and it's responsible for interpreting visual information, so everything that we see. There's also, in here is the thalamus. The thalamus is used for sensory relay. It incorporates all the senses except for smell, and it takes it from the thalamus, which is here in blue in the middle, and it takes it into other places of the brain. Next is the limbic system. The limbic system processes emotion and memory. Smell can be used to trigger emotion, so it processes smell as well. And here you can find the hippocampus, which is right here. It's all the way at the bottom, right there. And the hippocampus is an essential structure for learning and memory. You can also find the amygdala, and that is right above it in purple. And what this does is it takes our experiences and emotions and ties them to our memories. You can also find the hypothalamus, which regulates body temperature, appetite, and blood pressure, and that is found right here as well. And between the nervous system and the endocrine system, they connect to help us with the brain. There are different sections of the brain. There is the midbrain, which is where things are located deep into the brain. As you can see right here in the green, that's called midbrain. It's extended from the forebrain down to the hindbrain. It regulates our sleep and wake cycle. It also helps with arousal, alertness, and motor association. And that's also where neurotransmitters are produced. They produce dopamine, and that's critical for movement. There's also our hindbrain, which is here in orange, and the hindbrain is all the way in the back of our head. It seems like an extension of our spinal cord. And here we can find the medulla, which is all the way at the bottom, as we can see in this side. And the medulla controls automatic processes of the nervous system. You'll also find pons, which is right here in a very light blue, and that connects the hindbrain to the rest of the brain. And lastly, you'll find the cerebellum, which is in red. That's the last part of the hindbrain, and that helps us receive messages from muscles, tendons, joints, ears, balance, coordination, movement, and motor skills. Basically, it helps us do tasks.